Greetings, neighbors. Welcome to another episode of the Perfect Sense podcast. I'm your host, Alex Becerra. I am thrilled for today's conversation because what we're really going to be talking about today is finding the right financial fit for you. As you may know, we live in a landscape with a lot of different financial institutions as well as financial tech companies. So we'll start to pick a little bit of that apart and again, help you identify what might make the most sense for your financial needs. Today, we are talking with Marcus Webb, who is the branch manager of our Granite Bay location here in the Sacramento area. So Marcus, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. And do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. First and foremost, thanks for having me. Super excited. As noted, my name is Marcus. I have been in banking for 12 years now. Started as a teller, worked my way through the ranks as a banker, supervisor, and now a manager. Been managing for about 5 years now, so loving every bit of it.
Nice. I got to say, I'm excited that we get to have this conversation because you mentioned 12 years in it safe. I reached 12 years back in January. So I know we got hired like pretty much, I was right on the heels of you, I think.
Yes.
And that trajectory of like really starting at the branch level, having that teller experience, both kind of witnessing each other come up through the ranks over time. It's been really fulfilling, if I'm being honest. So I'm glad that we get to have you here today and kind of shine a spotlight on you.
It's been great to see your progression, and we'll keep moving up together.
Awesome, man. Well, let's jump right in. So fintechs, this is a more and more, I would say, trendy kind of word in the financial landscape. And a lot of people are familiar with like their standard financial institutions. You've got the for-profit traditional banks, you've got your not-for-profit community-based credit unions. And then now in this digital age, we have the advent of fintechs.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you know about fintechs and why they might be so appealing to consumers, especially younger consumers, at this moment in time?
Definitely. So fintechs definitely have their place in the market. They tend to be a little more niche. So they are geared towards transfers or investing or what have you. So they fit a certain model, which can then make them a little bit more one-dimensional, in my opinion. I feel like it is appealing to a younger crowd, but then you get into a credit union where we're attempting to blend the best of both worlds, right? We're constantly investing in our technology, and then we're also investing in our membership, and it's always nice to have somebody that you can rely on if there's ever a discrepancy or something goes awry with your account.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to even expand a little bit further on that, like fintech, financial technology, right? And so much of the younger population, I mean, I guess an elder millennial, I don't know, a younger millennial. And it's so common, right, for folks to just want to have that convenience of like doing something from their phone. And fintech really is a catch-all term for a lot of different types of entities. Like you're probably seeing advertisements in your social media or YouTube, TikTok, where it's like Rocket Money. They have a tool that helps you identify where you may be overpaying for subscriptions. Very specialized, really used as like a budgeting tool. Then you've got the like checking account only sort of relationship. I've heard of things like Dave or Chime, and it's like you can get a little bit of your paycheck now. We'll front you that money, but you basically have a debit card with a checking account. So fintech really is sort of this catch-all umbrella term for a lot of different things that are happening in the financial space. But I love how you allude to like the credit union ethos of trying to take what's relevant now in the marketplace with these younger consumers and also bring in the best of that experience level when it comes to like what people would consider a more traditional banking experience. So do you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, I think in my experience over the last 12 years, I think people are really looking for connection. As much as the availability is there and the convenience of these fintech options, what it really comes down to is who can I rely on? So the aim is to develop relationships and be there as a support level. I think we've all experienced and can resonate with some of the unpleasantries of having to rely primarily on phone service to rectify an issue or challenge a discrepancy. And so on that level, I would much rather have, and in my experience, people would much rather have somebody that they can go and speak face to face with. And, that's what we aim to do. Just be that support level.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, maybe you can resonate with this, but like when I'm out in the community, I tell people a lot of the time, I've been in the banking industry for 12 years.
Yes.
If I went in a time machine back 12 years, I probably would not have believed myself. I said, the career pathway for you is banking and the financial industry. I don't think my younger self, right, would have thought that. But I think that's one thing that's been so rewarding about being part of a credit union is it really is a different philosophy. It's a different mindset, meeting our members where they're at, identifying solutions that are really adapted to what they're experiencing and what they need at that moment in time. When we talk about fintechs and really just like the convenience of doing everything from your phone,
Yes.
I think people are always thinking of value. They're like, how do I save $1? Or how do I spend less on this expense, right? Which is everyone's dealing with that in their day-to-day interactions with their finances. But there is an intangible value in that relationship.
Yes.
So I would encourage people, like when you're out there looking for value, think about the intangible things too. When you're really in a pinch, who's going to be there to hear what it is you're experiencing? And again, hopefully help you find the right solution to meet that need.
Over my 12 years in banking, which to your point, I did not think I was going to be in banking. But really, my goal was to develop those relationships so that I could support people. I always had this idea of banking as very black and white. I'm going to sell you something. I'm getting those credit cards. So it's nice to come into a credit union and have an environment where I always felt like I could be myself. And I always wanted to connect with people, help people get their first car or save for marriage or for a wedding. It's like I've been a part of all of these different journeys with my members. And I don't know if you're going to get that in that other arena. Are they going to ask you like, hey, what's next? What's the next trip? Oh, you're expecting. Let's get the child an account. All these little things that add up to a family banking environment that you would feel comfortable like, okay, cool. I know I have this membership with Safe. Marcus is going to take care of them, or somebody on his team is going to take care of my friends, my family, etc.
I tend to agree. I think we're so fortunate to work in a culture, an organizational culture that, to your point, like it's inclusive. I've always felt the same way. I can be myself. And I think what's really fulfilling for us is like we get to show up to work every day with the mission of making a meaningful impact.
100%.
And I don't think the same could be said for a fintech, because with a fintech, you're more of a data point than you are a person. And so I think that that's so telling, and it illustrates kind of why we do the work we do. Because banking for a long time was black and white.
Yeah.
It was just a transaction. And I think when people see us in the community, whether it's at a branch location or I'm going to their workplace or I'm at their school campus, those are the types of interactions that truly leave a lasting positive impact, because they, in my opinion, they make people feel seen and heard.
Right.
And I think there's nothing more valuable than that. So we've touched on this a little bit already, but I'd love to kind of expand a little bit more on this idea of like, there are limitations to fintechs, right? A lot of them are specialized in one particular area. And I think that's something that people should be mindful of and consider, especially if they find themselves in a period where they're like, I'm looking to change up my banking.
Right.
So can you offer a little bit more insight into like what some of those limitations might be and what people may consider before they actually decide, okay, I'm going to set up this new account?
Certainly. So some of the limitations, depending on where that said fintech is geared to, let's say they offer loans. I can tell you that credit unions, specifically Save Credit Union, we're highly competitive in the loan market. We offer lower rates because we're member owned. Those fintechs are going to offer a higher rate because they're for profit. You even have, where members want to have higher dividend rates respectfully, but not realizing that there are the asterisks, the fine print that you have to look out for. So a lot of the time, unless you meet a certain threshold as far as the dollar amount is concerned, you're not actually able to take advantage of that higher interest rate.
Yep.
On the flip side, if you do take advantage of it, a lot of the time there are increased penalties for breaking said contract. So just things that you need to be mindful of. And I think that Safe Credit Union does a great job of minimizing the impact and allowing for everybody to take advantage of these products.
Yeah.
Whether that be you're never going to lose out on your initial deposit, you'll lose out on some dividends 3 to 4 months if you break that contract. That's a huge bonus for members that are looking to save their money and increase their holdings, as well as being able to take advantage of low interest rates on vehicles and credit cards. So I think the whole landscape, ultimately, credit unions, we offer a better service.
One thing I'm a big proponent of, and I say this all the time when I'm out delivering workshops, especially in person, is you've got to be a savvy consumer.
Yes.
Like if you take nothing else away from what we talk about today, Safe Credit Union, obviously we're bought in. We think it's great. We've been here a long time. We've had really positive experiences with our organization. But I want people to empower themselves, be more of a savvy consumer. You don't necessarily have to feel like you are chained to your financial institution or married to your financial institution. If you find something that's really appealing and it makes sense for you at that time, take advantage of the higher dividend rate.
Yes.
But really read that fine print and understand what are the terms and conditions, right? Because especially in this digital age, like every time you sign up for a new service, there's terms and conditions.
Yes.
So many people don't read that, right? Me too. I'm guilty of that as well. And so like be a savvy consumer, take advantage of perks where you can, but also have a foundation, have a bedrock that you can come back to that you know is going to be there to support you when things change, right? Because you might have some money coming in and you're feeling good about that. And you're like, I want to maximize that saving to the degree that I can. That's not always going to be the situation you find yourselves in. So you want to have a relationship with an entity like Safe that really does full service banking. Again, we're trying to meet our members where they're at.
Right. You mentioned being an informed consumer, and in the age of information, that can be really challenging. There's so many avenues, so much information that you are inundated with that what I'm realizing is it takes a team, it takes a village, and if we can be a part of your team, that is our role, is to advise you.
Yeah.
Hey, we're offering this. That's a great rate. Let's look at the fine print. If it is in fact a good choice for you, congratulations. But at least you have that advisor to be able to look it over, as opposed to just jumping right in and then it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah. And the last thing I might call out in that kind of decision-making process is like marketing is a real thing that really has an impact and influences people. And so
Every time.
yeah,
It's-
no matter where you look, you can find a carrot on a stick that's
Yes.
going to like attract you. And particularly when you mention the lending stuff, I think of like Credit Karma. Fantastic tool. Really well respected amongst most professionals in our industry. It does a lot of really cool things, but it also comes at you with pre-approval offers and hey, take advantage of this or consolidate this. And really, again, it's easy when it's placed right in front of your face to be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great deal.
Right.
But we don't want to be so impulsive. We don't just want to immediately react because what we see in at the very opening screen is like what we want to take advantage of. So
Yes.
kind of exercise that discipline to not always jump at the next brand new shiny thing that you see.
Yeah. Some of those, again, Credit Karma is great. Some of those pre-approvals end up being consolidation loans, which can actually negatively impact your credit by closing some of those accounts that they're consolidating. So again, being an informed consumer, not everybody's going to realize that. So that's where my team comes in.
Yeah,
to
let's
support
take a look
that.
at it from all sides. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Moving right along. We've talked about fintechs. We've really looked closely at what they can do.
Yeah.
Also discussed maybe some things that they can't do for particular individuals or families when it comes to their banking needs.
Mhm.
Let's expand a little bit more on the credit union philosophy. What can a local community-based credit union do for its members?
So credit unions, being local organizations, are member owned, which means that they offer better rates and lower fees. Um, you have the ability to build relationships with folks that are here to advise you properly. And it just offers an extension to build financial freedom, really gearing up for your vacation, your savings, and really planning for the future.
And I think when people maybe have preconceived notions about smaller financial institutions, which in many ways can be justified, but what I would encourage people to really hone in on is this member owned structure
Right.
makes such a big difference, right? Because if
Oh,
you're
yes.
with one of the biggest banks, right, you do your primary banking through one of the bigger banks that we're all familiar with,
Right.
you might have your money sitting there and you don't know really where that money is going, how it's being invested. When you are part of a credit union, you can rest assured that yes, while profits are being generated, they're being reinvested to the membership base and to the local community. So you can
Yeah.
see that impact in action as opposed to just like, okay, yeah, I'm letting my money sit in deposits, but what's happening behind the scenes as my money is sitting there?
Right. I love to see how we inject those funds back into the community, whether that be um, through volunteering, through the convention center, and offering an outlet for creatives. There's so many different avenues that we see that money going back into the city,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah, it's like if you want to see positive change or economic development in the neighborhood that you live in, you got to make a concerted effort to be a part of that, right?
Right.
One thing that really excites me about being part of SAFE is, in the midst of the COVID disruption, one thing that we had going on was this big technological conversion of a lot of our systems and how members experience their relationship to Safe Credit Union.
Right.
Obviously, there's more demand for digital tools and resources and things that people can access from the comfort of wherever they may be.
Right.
So, with that in mind, how does SAFE combine digital tools with that human connection?
Yes. So we have a pretty robust online service. You have your standard online banking along with our mobile app. Um, and actually, they mirror each other very well. So keeping them as informed consumers. So, yes, I want you to take advantage of this convenient option, but here I am as a base layer, as a support system, so I can educate you on how this can play into your finances.
I think it's also fair to encourage our audience members to ask more from their financial institution.
Yes.
It's very easy for us to get complacent, to fall into routines and habits that feel comfortable for us. But I think that's another way that SAFE kind of meets the moment is it's like we're always looking for what's the next enhancement? What do our members actually need? What are they asking for? And I always tell people like take an extra 5 or 10 minutes and really explore your mobile banking app.
Mhm.
What is already in that system that could be helping you reach your financial goals that you weren't even aware of, either because your financial institution didn't tell you about it, you haven't taken the time to explore. And so I really appreciate how we have kind of a holistic approach where it's like, what is it that you're looking for? In my realm, it's all financial education.
Yeah.
Listen to the podcast, check out a webinar, join us for an in-person session. Those are ways that we do outreach. Those are free resources, not only for our members, but for our community as well.
Yes.
It's okay to ask for more.
Yes. What I've appreciated is I have seen feedback from members turn into real action. Um, so I have the ability to upchain any information that I receive from my members. And then I have seen those things implemented, which is speaks volumes about the leadership that we're under. Um, and the organization that we work for.
Absolutely. I would tend to agree. One thing I try to be really mindful of when we produce this show is that people may be listening from all different age ranges, all different life experience, demographics, right? And so just in a general sense, before we close out this conversation, what are some things that you would encourage members to consider when they are choosing what's going to be their main financial institution?
Yeah, I think it's important to consider accessibility, who's going to be there in your time of need, rates and fee structure, I think is another important one. And then I'd say long-term financial relationship, somebody that I would refer my friends and family to bank with. I think that's really important.
I couldn't agree more. Marcus, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with me today.
Likewise.
Are you ready for a quick lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. One thing that I've been asking all of our guests is, first and foremost, what is a financial goal that you're working on?
Ooh, a financial goal that I am working on. So I'll be open. I'm paying off credit cards right now. Yeah. I think with my budgeting tool, I can get it done by the end of next year.
Beautiful.
Yes. Going for it.
Yeah.
Full-fledged.
That's a great feeling to have. And again, like I appreciate the candor because
Yes.
a lot of people are experiencing that. It's a tale as old as time. I used to say that America was the land of milk and honey and credit because like everybody's trying to pay off credit. So
Yes.
I love that. It's very refreshing to hear. And second question is, do you have like a local business, restaurant, coffee shop, any locally owned business that you want to give a shout out to on the podcast?
Oh, I like it. First one that comes to mind, Our Vita Cantina. What street is it off of?
Sunrise.
Yeah. Yeah. My boy Kevin
Citrus
Miles.
Heights.
Yes. Yes. Amazing food, amazing atmosphere. Oh man. Just one?
Go for it.
We'll roll with one.
Okay.
That's the one that comes to mind.
We'll have to ask you back in a few months.
I'll come with the list.
Excellent. Well, you heard it here first, folks. If you are looking for a good spot to eat, it's Mexican food.
It is
If
Mexican.
you're looking for good Mexican food around Sacramento, Our Vita Cantina in Citrus Heights. I've driven by many times. Now I guess it's time to actually make a visit. And if you want to visit Marcus and you're in our local area, Granite Bay branch off of Sierra College and Douglas Boulevard. So
100
we
Douglas.
invite you to come and check out our brand new space. And again, I can't thank you enough, Marcus. We get to interact a lot, so it's great to be able to do it on this platform.
Always. It was a pleasure.
If you'd like to learn more about Safe products and services and how we can help you, visit our website at safecu.org and schedule an appointment with one of our professional experts today. Safe is federally insured by NCUA and is an equal housing opportunity lender. The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform on topics surrounding financial well-being. This podcast does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice and may not apply to your individual situation. You should consult with your own financial, tax, or legal advisor for specific information pertaining to your individual situation. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the participants expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of Safe Credit Union or any of its officials.